What's up, DBs? Coach D Magic here, former D1 defensive back. Make sure you go grab the DB Mastery Program because I'm about to break down one-on-ones from Auburn spring practice, and a lot of the tips and techniques that I'm going to talk about, footwork, eye discipline, things like that, are in the DB Mastery Program. So when it comes to one-on-ones, you guys get after 7v7s, the real work begins because you guys are going to be going to those prospect camps. That's where the scholarships are earned. As a tip, I just talked to a former 12-year NFL DB, and I said, hey, what would be your advice to anyone trying to get a scholarship? He says, go to camp. He was a DB coach and assistant recruiting coordinator at Boston College. That interview will be up soon, but he said that, hey, every time he brought a prospect to the head coach, the coach would say, can he come to camp? Film is one thing, but being able to see, is he actually 6 foot or is he 5'10"? Does he actually run a 4.5 or is he 4.7 in person? So going to camp is the best way to get a scholarship. Now we're going to break down these clips. I'll let this play run here. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about with all of these plays, which is the first thing you should always be aware of when you're doing one-on-ones. Let's talk about distance. I would say yard and a half. If you really want to get hands on guys, some coaches will teach 2 yards, but you really got to train that. So, for one-on-ones, go a yard and a half. You don't want to be nose to nose with a guy. I can't tell if these are the hashes or if these are the tick marks for the sideline, but I'm going to assume that these are the hash marks, okay? So if these are the hash marks, we would be outside leverage based on this being a slot receiver. And he's going to be not a full yard, but nose to eye, right? So he's going to be outside eye. So his nose is going to be lined up with the outside eye of the receiver, all right? That's our shading. Now, your first step you always want your first step to be lateral. All right, so we pop our feet here, which isn't bad, okay? If we're keying you can key the knee, the hip to the bottom of the numbers, but if you're keying this area, we are staying square initially, okay? We aren't able to step replace with him to the inside, so we have to turn and open, but we're still on top. At the end of the day, if you don't get hands on, we want to be on top, especially if this is in the slot. There's a lot of space, and at the end of the day, with all that space, you just want to be on top within the first 5 yards. Now, when it comes to releases, if you watch my video on the 70% rule, 70% of the time, if he takes an inside release, he's going to run an in-breaking route. And on this case, if we're outside, even if he runs an out-breaking route, we should still be able to make a play because that's where our leverage is. All right, so we're protecting our leverage. Okay, we're staying close. We catch him at the top of the route. All right. Now from here, if you're going to catch like this, and it's going to be tough when you don't have pads unless you go to a padded camp, but this is when it's called what I call fighting pressure with pressure. Okay, so if he is trying to run to the inside, he's going to lean outside or push off outside so that he can go inside. All right, he's going to lean to his right so he can go left. So as we catch and we feel him start to lean on us, we want to lean back on him, fighting pressure with pressure so that when he pushes off, we don't lose a step. Now we're close with him. All right, so from here, I suggest playing top shoulder, staying high shoulder. Okay, and now once we play high shoulder, we can play the hands based on where the ball is. So if the ball is out here and he reaches his hands, we can strip that high arm down, so his left arm down. And if that ball is here, now we want to look to play the hands. So I want you to watch how he plays the hands. Once the receiver catches the ball, he's going to use his right hand to punch and collapse. All right, we don't actually punch the ball, but we collapse, okay, this arm right here. So as we collapse that arm, slow-mo, collapse that arm, this is when the ball comes out. All right, now we can disengage the ball. And honestly, in practice, take care of your teammates. But if this is a prospect camp, when there's money on the line, hey, take them to the ground to get that ball out. That's what I would coach. All right, good rep by the DB. Coach is turned up. Next play here. We're outside shade again. I can tell that he's probably about to jam. See how he's inching forward or he's leaning forward. Try not to give your hand away. Try not to tip your hat, because if a receiver kind of catches wind that you're leaning, or he's probably going to adjust his release. He's probably going to step back, or he might just try to bull rush you as well. All right, try to stay even keeled. Try to stay balanced here. All right, we're square. We take our shot at the line of scrimmage. Now, this is where most guys will lose, is because we're over aggressive and we end up getting into a fight. All right, we get into a fight and we lose. Now, even though the receiver pulls our face mask here, all right, they're not going to call that. This is where we lost. All right, so we got a clean two-hand jam. So when it comes to press man, you want to delay the release. All right, you want to slow down the release. You don't want to keep him at the line of scrimmage. That's fighting. So as we get two hands, we should get our left hand down and extend with our right hand. Now, as he attempts to move to the other side, we should switch alternating strikes. We should go and alternating strikes. We have a drill for that in our DB Mastery program. We should get this arm down, flip our hips, and use this offhand. But instead of doing that, see how we're holding the jersey? And now, look, before he grabs our face mask, look what we're doing. We got both hands around his head, his neck, the back of his jersey. All right, so now we're fighting. So phase two, we talk about this, phase two of a route. So after the release, okay? So the release is eyes, feet, and then hands. Phase two, when we're in that move area, now we want to play with our eyes, feet, and our body position, okay? Eyes, feet, and body position. We're not playing with eyes, feet, and body position. We're only playing with our hands here. And then, like I said, the receiver pulls our face mask to get off. Yeah, that's a penalty, but I don't think that's ever going to be called because the ref's only really going to see this before anything. All right? And we initiated the fight first. So you'll see a lot of guys be too aggressive. And again, I knew he was going to be aggressive because he's inching forward. All right? You got to be even keeled. Two hand strike, good. Drop one hand, 2 to 1. All right, he works the other side, alternating strikes. Drop my right hand, switch my left off hand. All right, and we'll be in a better position. So we're over aggressive and we end up losing the rep. Now, on this last play here, again, we're outside eye. This is something you got to be careful of, but I love that the DB is able to finish in the lead position, top position. So be careful here. So we're outside leverage. Good job staying square, forcing the inside release, okay? Now, you got to be careful. Well, he does a good job here, but be careful because if you overplay this and you're off balance, all right, he's not off balance, but if you're off balance, even though we force the inside release, he'll stick his foot in the ground and get vertical immediately and then widen out later. All right, so you got to be careful of that. But good job protecting leverage, step, replace, forcing the inside route, inside release. Now we're able to stay on top here. So we're able to turn the receiver, redirect the receiver. So we don't really jam him to disrupt timing. We use our eyes and our feet and our body position. Boom, redirect. Now we're still high. All right. He tried to take the inside and just get vertical and stack us, but we're high again. Force him to redirect to get back to that fade. We take a quick peek at the quarterback. This isn't an ideal situation, but because of the timing, redirect. All right, and the quarterback hasn't thrown the ball. He's now outside releasing. Speed turn, good job here, and we're still on top. We're still in the lead position. All right, so for here, we know that it's probably going to be a fade or a comeback. That's the only two routes he can run with this outside release now. Okay, and even if he tried to work back inside, we win because if he redirects, and then tries to work back outside, that's a very unrealistic route. That's a win for us, and we should be able to win with our body position. But we're able to stay on top, lead position. I actually just released a video, the Steelers video in Ohio State, where they're practicing this position, where pretty much from this position, we have our eyes on the receiver because we're ready for the comeback. But once we see him start to convert to a fade, now we can get our eyes back. Good chest-to-chest position, good finish here. And I think this guy was like a 5-star. I think he was a 5-star, so that's a good rep. Again, outside shade, stay square, force the inside release, stay on top, redirect again, speed turn, stay on top. All right, so I hope you guys learned something. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go to thedbnetwork.com if you want to get prepared for these prospect camps. Coaches are looking for kids that they don't really have to coach too much. They're looking for kids who you can't coach height, you can't coach speed. But, if you're average height, average speed, and you have the technique, man, that'll really show a coach that you're ready to play at the next level. I appreciate you guys.